Welcome back to the channel, guys. There's a question rising across Britain's political underground, whispered in WhatsApp groups, muttered in Westminster bars, and discussed openly by voters who've finally had enough of polite politics. Should Nigel Farage be worried about the new political party Restore Britain? For the first time in nearly 20 years, the king of British insurgency, the man who's terrified Brussels and humiliated the Conservative Party, may be looking over his shoulder. Because Restore Britain isn't another throwaway start-up party with a website, a slogan, no real footing. It's something far more dangerous. A political force emerging precisely at the moment the nation is angriest, most cynical and most willing to torch the old order. When people are desperate, they don't want compromise, they want rupture. And Restore Britain is offering rupture in the industrial quantities. The truth is simple. Farage has dominated anti-establishment politics since the early 2000s. He forced a Brexit referendum. He rewired the political landscape. He made the Conservatives dance like panicked puppets. But even the greatest rebels hit a limit. Farage has relied for years on one thing, that he alone embodies the rebellion. Restore Britain's arrival shatters that assumption. They are positioning themselves not just as an alternative to the Tories, not just an alternative to Labour, but an alternative to Farage himself. The demographics tell a story Farage won't like. Reform's UK base skews older, patriotic, fed up, but tired. They've been betrayed too many times to still believe in political miracles. Restore Britain's following, however, is younger, fiercer, far more in line, and absolutely sick of half measures. They aren't satisfied with slowing immigration, they want to reverse it. They don't want cultural compromises, they want a cultural reset. They're done with Westminster's unwritten rules. Done with being polite, done with waiting for permission. Restore Britain speaks in a language Farage used to use but has softened over the years. Open defiance. This is where the threat becomes real. Reform UK, as successful as it's been, still revolves around one man. Without Farage's charisma, it's a logo. Restore Britain isn't built around one personality. It's building infrastructure, regional organising groups, professional comms, a growing alternative media presence. Activist networks fueled by frustration, not nostalgia. It looks more like the beginnings of a British Tea Party movement, decentralised, angry, highly motivated and extremely difficult to suppress. And in this political climate, anger sells. Britain is entering a darker, more volatile mood than any time since the 1970s. The economy is stagnant. Mass immigration continues at historic highs, higher even than pre-Brexit levels. Public services are collapsing, crime is rising, people feel unsafe in towns they grew up in. They see cultural norms shifting rapidly without democratic consent. They feel abandoned, unheard and deliberately dismissed. This isn't an era where voters want cautious, statesman-like rhetoric. This is an era where they want political steel, punishment for failure and a sense of national restoration that goes far beyond Reform's UK current messaging. Farage's strategic shift towards respectability might be the very thing that costs him. He wants to look like a national statesman. Trustworthy, predictable, serious. That image works when you're replacing a government. It doesn't work when someone is trying to replace you as the voice of the rebellion. Restore Britain's message is brutal, unapologetic, unfiltered. They're saying openly what Farage has begun to hint at softly. The border is gone. Britain is being dismantled. Mass immigration is demographic replacement. Westminster is illegitimate. Whether one agrees with those statements or not, they resonate powerfully with people who feel unseen by mainstream politics. If Farage doesn't harden his tone, someone else will capture that energy. Because the political mood is no longer simply anti-establishment, it's anti-system, and Restore Britain is tapping directly into that vein. There is also the policy gap. Reform UK has moderated its approach on several issues to appear government ready. Restore Britain has no interest in moderation. They want systemic upheaval, from immigration to constitutional reform, to policing to government overreach. Their appeal is simplicity. The country's broken, the establishment broke it, and the people deserve it back. So, should Farage be worried? Yes, for the first time in many years, not because Restore Britain is bigger, not because it has its name recognition, but because it represents something Farage cannot fully control. A younger, angry rebellion that sees him not as the outsider, but as the old guard of the anti-establishment world. And history shows us what happens when new insurgents collide with older ones. The original rebel almost always loses. But Farage is not finished, not yet. He still has unmatched visibility, unmatched charisma, unmatched political instincts. If he adapts, if he reclaims his old firebrand edge, he can absorb the new movement or outflank it. But if he tries too hard to appear prime ministerial, too careful, too polished, Restore Britain will become a real threat, not to the country, but to Farage himself. The political right in Britain is realigning again. The only question now is whether Nigel Farage leads that realignment or gets replaced by it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you want more honest political commentary and don't want to miss what's really happening behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you'd like to support the channel's independent work, there's a Buy Me a Link coffee in the description.